Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Addie, and today I'm going to be doing what it's like being a Christian versus singles, dating. I'm going to be talking advice, things I've learned, and overall just a ton of stuff about dating and single life as a Christian. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a huge thumbs up, subscribe down below, and let's just go ahead and get started. Okay, so I thought I would start out with the fact that I made a Christian dating video like 3 years ago when I was single, which is kind of funny. And now I'm standing here today and I've been dating my boyfriend for about 6 months almost, and I'm just going to be talking about what it's like being a Christian while being single and what it's like while dating. I think that there is so much value in both seasons, so I thought I would start out with the single season and then talk about dating. I will have all the time codes and stuff down below if you guys want to hear a specific part. But I thought I would just start out by saying that my view of singleness in the beginning was just different than it was now that I'm dating. I look back and I'm like, wow, I just had a different viewpoint on it. And so I wanted to kind of just encourage any Christian singles just to switch your perspective up. I thought I would start out by saying that know that you're going to want to date. God put that in you. You have that desire because man is not meant to live alone. And so don't think of it as a bad thing, as like, oh, I just want to be with a guy. Like, don't think of that as a bad thing. That is completely normal. And so I don't want you guys to be like thinking you're wrong or something for believing that. So I would just say is know that you're going to have that desire. So don't try to get rid of the desire, just try to switch your perspective. And another thing is just to realize how young you are. Like, I was 17 being like, I'm gonna die alone, I'm so lonely and all this stuff. And I'm like, did I even realize how young I really was at the time? No, I was not realizing that. And so I think it's important to realize if you're young and you're like my age and younger, just to realize you are still young and that is okay, that God has not brought that person in your life yet because you're not ready for that yet. And sometimes it could be that you're not ready or the person's not ready and he's preparing you guys' hearts for one another. Something I heard in church that was so good one time was the pastor said, take your focus off of the mate and onto the mission. And so I think it's really important. And basically what happened to me was I had a boyfriend for 2 weeks when I was 16. And then from 16 to 19 almost, I was like a week before I was 19. So basically those like two years, basically 3, I was single. And so I had gotten not desperate to the point when I would like date around or anything. I just was like having this crazy longing that I just wanted someone so bad. The movies were making it worse, YouTubers were making it worse, Instagrammers, all these people posing with their boyfriends, and my friends getting into relationships was making it so much harder. So I do want to say I understand if you're going through that right now and you're like, I can't even watch To All the Boys I Loved Before because I'm just so sad. You know, like those types of things I know can get hard, especially when your close friends near you are in a relationship and that's all you're hearing about because they want to be there. They're your friend, you know, they want to hear your opinions, they want to tell you stories and stuff like that. It can be hard, but take your focus off of the whole like I need to find someone and focus on what God has for you in your life. Honestly, there is so much value in the season of being single. Don't discount that season. That season is just as important as your dating season. God has you in all different seasons for completely different reasons, but that doesn't make any of them less valuable or more valuable. He brings you through all kinds of highs and lows. So don't think just because you're single, you're just standing there waiting and this is just some dumb waiting season, because it's not. It's super important and he develops your character so much. And so another thing is while you're single is just to be the person that you will want to date. So better yourself. I'm not saying go out and make your hair look all nice and get a glow up makeover or anything like that. I'm talking about bettering the inside, because the inside is more important than the outside. So bettering your characteristics, bettering yourself on God's path with the fruits of the Spirit, and just building yourself up with Jesus hand in hand and saying, Lord, I want to be used by you, and being on mission that God has a purpose for your life, and it doesn't just come once you're dating someone. Oh, now my purpose is found. Your purpose is found in God. It's not found in another person. And I think that is so important. And it can be a harsh truth to some people. They're like, geez, I never thought of it that way. But it is so important to change that perspective. And honestly, the whole time when I was single and I was like trying to find a boyfriend so bad, I was going to other churches, other youth groups, being like, maybe there'll be someone here. And literally my boyfriend was at the same youth group as me, the same college young adults ministry. And I just didn't know it. And I had even met him before in the past probably. And we had grown up together in junior high ministry and we never met. It's God's love story. If you think of the story of Ruth and Boaz, she went through a lot. Ruth went through a lot, and that book is only 4 chapters long, but she went through so much before she met Boaz. And God oftentimes has you going through a lot of stuff, even on your own, and then he has you guys come together in his timing. And that's what I was neglecting. I was neglecting God's timing. I was trying to have my own time book and trying to have it all played out for myself, but it's God's timing that's important. Then the next part of this video I wanted to talk about is what I learned being single. And so through that time period, I learned that I'm not a half, and it's not two halves becoming a whole, that I am a whole person as myself, made in the image of God, and that I am not going to be fulfilled or completed by somebody else, that I am good enough on my own, and that God just gives us that person as the helper and the provider, and that beautiful design that he created with marriage as a part of it. But that's not, just because I'm single doesn't mean that I am a worthless, just garbage over here on the side. It does mean that I have a purpose and I have mission on my own, and then once you are with that person, you go ahead and you go full force and you are serving God. Another thing I wanted to say is that the right person is worth waiting for. I went through 3 different people beforehand that I wasn't necessarily dating, but like we liked each other type of thing, and I constantly felt like insecure, something was off. And then when I was with my boyfriend now, everything clicked. Everything was just so right. And I always thought, like before, I was like, it's not gonna happen like it happens in the movies. And it's not how it happens in the movies, but everything just feels right because it's from God. You're not trying to force something that's not. And the right person is worth waiting for. So I let things get to me because my perspective was off. So honestly, what I learned is just to change my perspective. And right when I changed my perspective, 2 months later, my boyfriend came along and we started dating. And that's just how God works and his timing, because he was waiting for me just to change my perspective and get it off of the fact that I just wanted a boyfriend so badly, and to switch over to the fact that he has a purpose for me. So once I switched that, bam, then my boyfriend came along. And it's not always going to be instantaneous like that, but that's definitely how it happened for me. And that was just the coolest thing. And it was all about trusting in God and just leaning on his promises that he is faithful and he will come to fruition, and that he doesn't forget us. I constantly was feeling like that, like God forgot about me. All my friends had boyfriends and he forgot about me. And that's not true. So that's definitely something I learned, is that God is true to his promises. Okay, and now I want to talk about dating. So I've been dating for 6 months and I have learned a lot so far. One thing I just want to start off by saying is that dating is fun. It is so fun. And so like, don't let it be, if you're dating right now, like just this hard thing. Relationships are hard work. They are hard to manage another person in a way. It's like you are used to just thinking about your own desires and your own needs, and now you're having to balance 2 people, and you're balancing yourself and you're balancing them. So it can get overwhelming, but it is fun, and it's meant to be fun. It is not meant to be something that is super difficult and super hard every single day. Obviously, people are going to go through their ups and downs, but the ups should be there too. It should be fun. So if you need to reevaluate your relationship and think like, am I having fun in this? Am I taking this too seriously? Because dating is supposed to be fun. It is an evaluating process for marriage, but it is fun. And so go on dates and let them be your best friend. Another thing I wanted to say is keeping Christ in the center of your relationship is just so important, and I feel like people might discount that, but keeping him at the center is very practical. It might just sound like a metaphorical thing, but keeping him at the center means you're honoring him in everything you do, and boundaries are a thing. I feel like people often think of Christian relationships and they straight away think of boundaries, like what can I not do? How close can I get to the line? How far is too far? And they're constantly thinking those things. Boundaries should be a thing you guys have in your relationship, and that's definitely something I've learned and something I would say as a piece of advice. And I also want to say that they don't have to be hard to keep. I feel like they can be. A lot of people are tempted. A lot of people are different. But we've come to like different times where we're sitting together and we're like, hey, this is not that hard to keep. It just matters on how much self-control you have, and that's one of the fruits of the Spirit. So if you really need to work on self-control, then that's a huge thing for you guys to say, you know what? Let's come together and we're going to challenge each other, and we're going to really look into the Bible. Where does it talk about self-control? Let's keep us accountable. And so I think it's really important, but boundaries also don't have to be extremely hard, and the focus of your relationship is just your boundaries. They are extremely important to have. We have them set up, but it's also doesn't have to be extremely hard to keep. It just kind of depends on where you're at. Another thing I'm learning is love languages, and if you guys are not familiar with the 5 love languages, it's written by this author. And he has 5 love languages, the ones that you receive and the ones that you give off. And I think they're super important, and they've helped us a lot because I love giving gifts to people, and my best friend and my boyfriend don't really like receiving gifts that much. So I kind of have to step back and I'm like, okay, I know I want to spoil you with gifts, but that's not really their love language. Their love language is physical touch or quality time. So when it comes down to the people close to you, understand their love language, and that's super important. Understand your parents' love language, your friends, your boyfriend, whoever it is. But also knowing your boyfriend is super important because that is going to be the relationship that you're going to have if you get married for the rest of your life. So you really want to know the person closest to you and how they feel loved and how they're going to love you, and explaining your love languages to them. Don't just mentally know theirs and then not tell them yours, because you want to feel loved the best way possible. And it just makes everything a lot healthier. So you're not constantly giving acts of service when they just want your time. So it's important to know and to readjust that it can be hard. I'm like sitting over here like with all my gift ideas, like, okay, don't give those out, like spend time with them, they think that's enough. So my boyfriend does definitely think that spending time with him is enough, and I'm over here trying to give him all the gifts. So you need to know if they are acts of service, quality time, words of affirmation. There's 5 different ones. I'm trying to think of them all, but yeah, those are super important. Okay, now going into the advice. The first thing I want to say is if you are a Christian, equally yoked is just the most important thing for the beginning stages. When you're looking for a person, don't even consider somebody that's not a Christian. Unless there is special circumstances, for the most part, you need to be equally yoked. And this is not just like an option, this is a commandment by God. And I feel like a lot of people just kind of put that to the back, like, it's okay, they're hot, so I'm just gonna date them anyways. That is so key to have them be equally yoked. And what that means is it's the 2 oxen, and this comes from the New Testament, and that means that their yoke is the same. So if you have one pulling way ahead and one pulling backwards, they're not going to be able to pull the weight because they're unequal. They need to be equally at the same place. That doesn't necessarily mean you need to both be the same length of time of being a Christian or something, but it means that you guys both have a relationship with God that is strong, and that you guys can both pull the weight together, hand in hand, and that it's not going to be one of you guys falling back because one of you guys is not a Christian and the other is. So I think it's super important to be equally yoked, and God thinks that this is super important because it's a commandment. So please do not discount that. That is so key. Another thing is to be friends first. This doesn't always happen, but I've had it in an instance where it was and where it wasn't. And being friends first is just so much better. It makes everything so much more fun. And we just love looking back on those stages when we were friends and we were like, does he like me? Do I like her? Is this happening? I think I like her. I'm like, does he like me? I don't know. And you're in those stages where you're like being kind of risky with everything you do, and you're like flirting with each other and you don't know, and it's just so much fun. And getting to just be friends because you get to know them first, and then you're like, okay, I could see myself with them or not. If you just go straight off the bat, it gets a little bit trickier. I think being friends at first is just the best way to go about it because it's so much fun. Another piece of advice for dating couples is that it should be balanced. If you are constantly putting in all of your effort into a relationship and they're not putting in effort, or the other way around, you feel like you're not putting anything and they're trying to give you the world, it's going to put you in such an unhealthy place. And so I think it is super key to be balanced, and this doesn't always happen 100% of the time, but for the most part that you're balanced and they're showing effort and you're showing effort, you're giving your time, they're giving their time, they're making it a priority and you're making it a priority. And that goes hand in hand with what I was going to say next, and that's making purity a priority. And that's super key, and I think it's important that both of you guys are on the same page with that. It's not like one of you guys wants purity and the other one doesn't. Me and my boyfriend looked each other in the eye and we said, you know what? Purity is important to us. Sex before marriage is not happening. And we both were in agreement with that, and that's why everything has been a lot healthier. Of course, it's going to be difficult if both of you guys don't agree on that. So I think having purity as a priority and the other person's wants and the other person's needs, and those things need to be evaluated, but it is super, super important to make purity a priority. Well, that's all I have to say for today. I love talking about Christian relationships because it's just so exciting, and it's something that God designed, and it's so beautiful, and there are so many things that can come out of it. And I just want to say thank you to you guys who watched my last video, and you guys encouraged me to create another Christian topic video. I love filming these videos, so if you guys have more video requests, please leave them down below. I would love to chat with you guys in the comments as well, just talking about all those fun things that God God has given us. And I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day or your night or your week. And feel free to DM me on Instagram. It is at @AddieOwls. I would love to talk to you guys if you guys have questions, if you want to talk Bible, if you want to talk life, whatever it is, I would love to talk to you guys on there. I hope you guys will subscribe down below and give this video a huge thumbs up, and I will see you guys in my next one. All right, bye guys.